I've got 3 keys to unlock any exponent question on the SAT, but first, I've got a question, I've got a timer, let's solve it. Question 1, if a to the negative 1/2 equals x, where a is greater than 0, what is a in terms of x? What this question is basically asking is move everything to one side of the equation and have a on the other side of the equation. So if we have a to the negative 1/2 just really means 1 over a to the 1/2 equals x. Let's square both sides. Then we have 1 over a equals x squared. Multiply both sides by a, and we have 1 equals x squared times a. Divide both sides by x squared, and we have 1 over x squared equals a. C is our answer. Key number 1, exponents are just numbers repeated. Basically, an exponent is that thing on top of a number that is smaller. So we see 3 squared. That, my friends, is an exponent. It just means that you take the base number, multiply it by itself however many times the exponent says to. So 2 squared is 2 times 2. 3 cubed is 3 times 3 times 3. 3 to the 4th is 3 times 3 times 3 times 3. You get the picture. In this example here, we have 4 to the 6th, which is 4 times 4 times 4 times 4 times 4 times 4. 6 4s, and that's your answer. Key number 2, remember your exponent rules. So here are the rules you're going to want to remember. We're going to knock these out really quickly. Make sure you pause, rewind if you need to, but you're going to need to know these inside and out. So rule number 1, a to the 0 equals 1. An example, 199 to 0 equals 1. Anything raised to the 0 power is just 1. A to the 1 equals a. Anything raised to the first power is just the base number itself. So 123 to the first power equals 123. A to the x times a to the y equals a to the x plus y. So 3 squared times 3 to the 6th is just 3 to the 6 plus 2. So 3 to the 8th power. Number 4, a to the x over a to the y is just a to the x minus y. So 3 to the 6th over 3 to the 2nd just equals 3 to the 6th minus 2, which equals 3 to the 4th. Number 5, a to the negative x power is really just 1 over a to the x. So 2 to the negative 2 power is just 1 over 2 squared. Number 6, a to the x to the y power is just a to the x times y. So 3 squared to the 4th power is just 3 to the 8th. Number 7, ab to the x power is just a to the x times b to the x. 3 times 7 to the 2nd power is just 3 squared times 7 squared. Number 8, a over b to the x power is just a to the x over b to the x. So 3 over 7 squared is just 3 squared over 7 squared. And number 9, a to the x over y is just y root over a to the x. So 3 to the 7 over 8th power is just 8 root to 3 to the 7th power. And those are all the exponent rules that you're going to need to know for the SAT. Now let's talk about some things you don't want to do and some things you do want to do. When we have a to the 4th plus a to the 6th, we cannot make that a to the 10th. What we can do is, if we look here, we can factor out the a to the 4th, which leaves us with 1 plus a to the square. And then the last one, a plus b to the 3rd power does not equal a to the 3rd plus b to the 3rd. Do not apply an exponent to the things inside the parentheses if they're being added or subtracted together. That is not the same thing. Remember your rules. You're going to want to know those inside and out, and you won't miss an exponent question on the SAT, I promise. Tip number 3, know your rules. I've said it once and I'll say it again. The more you know your rules cold, the more confident you'll be on the SAT when you see an exponent problem. Know your rules. And here's a tip. If x is positive, then raised to any power, it keeps a positive. So this example is 2 squared equals 4, or negative 9 squared equals 81. Anything raised to an even power always makes the final answer positive. It could be negative 1 million to the 4th power, the final answer will be positive. If x is negative, then look at the exponent. Is the exponent even? Yes, then your final answer will be positive. If the exponent is negative, look at what that exponent is being applied to. What do I mean by that? If you see negative 3 cubed, that answer is going to be negative 27. Why? Because negative 3 times negative 3 is 9, and then 9 times negative 3 is negative 27. So keep that in mind when you see a question on the SAT, and you'll know right away if the final answer should be positive or negative. Question number 2. M equals 1800 times 1.02 to the t power. The equation above models the number of members, M, of a gym t years after the gym opens. Of the following, which equation models the number of members of the gym q quarter years after the gym opens? The main thing we want to think about here is that we're turning t into q. So we need to find a relationship between t and q. So we know that in 1 year, there are 4 quarters. So if we have t equals 1, q should equal 4. So what that tells me is that we need to multiply t by 4 to get however many number of quarters that we're seeing that year. So if 4t equals q, then that means that dividing both sides by 4, t equals q over 4. So now we can plug in q over 4 for t in our model above, and then that should give us our answer. So we'll have 1800 times 1.02 raised to the t power, but that t equals q over 4. And if you don't believe me that that's the right answer, test it for yourself. If t equals 1, q equals 4. T equals 2, q equals 8. If q equals 7, then we just divide that by 4, and t equals 7 over 4. Okay, and this is our answer, which is A. Problem number 3. The graph of the exponential function h of x in the xy plane where y equals h of x has a y-intercept of d, where d is a positive constant. Which of the following could define the function x? So what do we know? We know it's an exponential function, so that means it looks like this on a graph. It starts here, and then it gets up really, really fast, and this point is d. D is the y-intercept where d is a positive constant. Which of the following could define the function h? Well, b is not an exponential function. C is not an exponential function because an exponential function is where your x is going to be the exponent. So we have A or D right off the jump. Well, we know that our y-intercept means that x has to equal 0 because that's where you will cross the y-intercept. So let's plug in 0 for x and see if we're getting D as our y-intercept. And answer choices A and D. So we have h of x equals negative 3d to x. If we make x equals 0, we have negative 3 times d equals h of 0, excuse me. And so our y-intercept would be negative 3d. That's not what we're looking for. Let's take a look at d. H of x equals d3 to the x. So if h of 0 gives us our y-intercept, we have d 3 to 0. Remember our rules. Anything raised to a 0 is just a 1. D to the 1 equals D. And D is our answer. Take a look at some of the homework questions below. Take a screenshot, knock them out, watch the next video.